Howdy. Welcome to Grandpa's Humor. I'm Grandpa. Can you remember a time when you was a kid and you believed in Santa Claus and you'd ask for something you really, really wanted and you just knew you was going to get it? Well, I had a time like that when I was only 8 years old, back in 1956 in the panhandle of Texas. My younger brother and I had both went to see Santa Claus. We both asked him for a bicycle and cap guns. And we were pretty sure we were going to get them because we felt like we'd been good boys that year. But, you know the but word. About a week before Christmas, my dad and mother decided we were all going to go over to visit an aunt and uncle that lived a few towns over from us. Loaded all the kids up in the car and off we went. When we got to our aunt and uncle's house, they visited for a while and then decided they wanted to go in town and go shopping. Now, they live way out in the country, and they felt like myself and my younger brother would be okay there, left at my aunt and uncle's house because they had a nephew of their own, a second cousin, visiting, and he was 14 years old, and he could probably look after us. So they loaded all the younger kids up, and off they went to town. Well, we figured they'd be gone for a while, and that's okay. You know, we figured we'd find something to do out there on the place. Well, old Henry, our second cousin, he decided that he wanted to tell me and my younger brother some stories about his exploits because he was a man of the world, or at least he thought he was. Thinking back on it now, I just know he's full of crap. That's about all it amounted to. However, Henry, he had some cigarettes hid someplace because he smoked and he didn't want nobody knowing about it. None of the adults anyway. So he went and got his cigarettes out and set me and my younger brother down in the living room and lit him up a cigarette and started telling us about all these girls he knew and all of his exploits with the girls. And me and my younger brother, of course, we thought that was just funny because we weren't interested in girls and we really didn't know what he was talking about. But the more he'd talk, the funnier we thought it was laughing at him. So he decided that maybe we needed to grow up a little bit. So he offered me and my younger brother each a cigarette. And because our parents smoked and our aunt and uncle smoked, we felt like that probably be a pretty good thing. Help us grow up a little bit. So he gave each one of us a cigarette, taught us how to light them, taught us how to inhale them. And we sitting there smoking them cigarettes with him, and he continued to tell his girl stories, and we'd continue to laugh at him because we thought he was stupid. Anyway, after a while, he decided he'd introduce us into some more worldly things. So we went and got this big old bottle of Mogan David wine and poured me and my brother a glass each, and he poured himself a glass. And of course, it being Mogan David, it was grape colored and kind of tastes like grape juice, but it was real wine and it didn't get you drunk as a skunk. And anyway, we're sitting there drinking that wine and smoking them cigarettes and listening to old Henry tell his tall stories about what a man he was and blah, blah, blah. And we wasn't paying much attention to time, and we sure wasn't listening for the car. And lo and behold, our parents and our aunt and uncle got back sooner than what we expected anyway. And we was sitting there smoking them cigarettes and drinking that wine when in they walked. Well, that didn't fare too well with Dad. We knew he didn't want us smoking cigarettes for sure, or drinking wine. We was trying to hide them behind us, and he knew what it was all about, and he told us to go get in the car. Just go get in the car, and he'd be there in a few minutes. And so me and my younger brother, we went and got in the car, and a couple of minutes later, here come old Henry. Uncle Buck told him to take his butt out there and get in the car too. Well, we didn't know what was going on, but Dad and Uncle Buck came out and got in the car, and they took us into town to a drive-in. You know, back in those days, they had lots of drive-ins, kind of like Sonic, but they all had car hops who'd come out and take your order, go in, place the order, and then bring the stuff back out to you. Well, Dad, I know, knew that we were already getting sick. He could probably tell we was a little bit green around our gills from them cigarettes and that wine, and we weren't feeling too damn good. Anyway, while we was waiting on our orders, he had ordered us each a big, tall chocolate milkshake and a hamburger. He started proceeding to tell us how we were he was proud of us. We was grown men now. We smoking and drinking and all that, and that he's going to tell Santa Claus not to even bother bring us any bicycles and cap guns. That we needed cigarettes and whiskey. Well, we thought that was funny because we was drunk, and anyway, he offers us each another cigarette, and of course we declined because we was embarrassed. But them milkshakes and hamburgers got out there, and I really didn't want mine. I know my little brother didn't want his. I'm not sure about Henry, but we were told we were going to drink them milkshakes and eat them hamburgers because they done ordered them and paid good money for them. And we were grown men now, since we was drinking and smoking, we had to eat them and drink them milkshakes. Well, guess who was the first one to roll out of that car and be throwing up and puking all over the place? Is old worldly Henry. Yeah, old Henry, the guy that was so worldly and knew so much and was so adept to all this worldly stuff. He's the first one out of the car, out there beside the car, puking and carrying on. Well, next up to bat was my younger brother, and it wasn't too long after that I was out there doing the same thing. We was all sicker than a dog. Of course, Dad and Uncle Buck, they weren't laughing at us, but they told us after we finished with their puking and carrying on to get back in the car and offered us all a cigarette again. We all turned them down. And we went on back to our aunt and uncle's house. And next morning, we got up and went on back home. Of course, we were sick all the rest of that day after the hamburgers and milkshakes. And I sure didn't ever want to hear about no cigarettes and whiskey. Well, on the way home, Dad reminded us, yep, he's going to tell Santa Claus that we didn't need no bicycles and cap guns to bring us whiskey and cigarettes for Christmas. So, and Dad, he's pretty strong about his word. He generally, if he said something, that's the way it's going to be. So we got us believing it, and we was begging him not to tell Santa Claus that. And it was about a week before Christmas when this all happened. Well, all that week, every evening when he came home from work, he reminded me and my younger brother that we was getting cigarettes and whiskey for Christmas, and he was real proud of us for being grown up and not needing no bicycles and cap guns, because now we could sit and drink and smoke with him. Of course, he didn't offer us any cigarettes. He just kept telling us that stuff. Well, Christmas morning rolled around, and lo and behold, when we got up and went in there where the Christmas tree was, and sure enough, me and my younger brother each got a bicycle and our cap guns, and made us really happy. So Dad apparently didn't tell Santa Claus to bring us no cigarettes and whiskey like he said he was. However, you stop and think about it. Yeah, people always want to know, well, how are these kids getting into these drugs and things like that? Basically, as I see it, peer pressure is a big thing, and the older kids can really influence what the younger ones do, and that's what happened with us. My dad did not teach us to smoke cigarettes or encourage us to smoke or drink or any of that other stuff. All the rest of our lives, matter of fact. But anyway, it was quite an event. We let old Henry talk us into smoking them cigarettes and drinking that wine, and we thought we was grown and we was doing something great, smoking them cigarettes and drinking that wine. But anyway, Santa Claus did bring us our bicycle, our cap guns, and we had a real good Christmas. Hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you'll share it with your friends, and hope you'll give me a like and subscribe and come back to see my videos again. Thanks a lot for taking time to listen to my little short story, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.